Hello, I'm Dr. John Jefferson Davis of Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary. And in the next few minutes, I'd like to share with you some thoughts around the title, Walking in the Woods as a Spiritual Practice. I'm sure that all of us walk in the woods sometime or take a hike or enjoy nature. But do you think of that as part of your personal spiritual practice or spirituality? You know, the Bible has a lot to say about nature and God's creation. We think of Psalm 19, for example, the heavens are declaring the glory of God, and the firmament declares his handiwork. Or Psalm 104, which is a beautiful celebration of God's creation. And toward the end, the psalmist says, "O Lord, how many are your works? How many are your creatures? In wisdom you have made them all." Now, this connection between nature and spiritual practice was further triggered in my mind by reading a recent book. It's titled The Nature Fix by Florence Williams. The Nature Fix by Florence Williams. And you can get a brief 1 minute and 41-second summary of that book by simply Googling The Nature Fix by Florence Williams. The title, The Nature Fix, perhaps suggests that, well, sometimes we get fixes of other things, maybe a shot of caffeine in the morning with our coffee, and that we also need a fix of nature. We need to get back in contact with a natural environment, since many of us spend so much time indoors, in our cars, or staring at screens. Now, Florence Williams, in her book, The Nature Fix, cites a lot of fascinating research that's being done in Korea, Japan, and also in Scandinavia that has found that contact with nature, for example, taking a walk in the pine woods, can have some very good natural benefits for us in terms of our emotional and even spiritual health. Apparently, walking in a pine forest, for example, the trees exude certain chemicals here that relieve stress and can even lower our blood pressure. Also, other research has shown that patients in a hospital who are in a room that actually stares out into a courtyard and that they can see trees actually have better recovery rates than people with no window rooms or with very poor exposure. Now, I've taken some of this to heart, and for sometimes almost every day I like to take a mile-long walk around Koi Pond, the lake behind Gordon College and Lane Student Center, and just to enjoy that natural sort of unmanaged environment and to hear the sound of birds, to be surrounded by green growing things, by trees, and to see frogs or snakes or dragonflies or things of that sort. And I sometimes meditate on Scripture when I take that walk, and I'm reminded of how interconnected we are with God's creation. All those green trees and green vegetation is taking CO2 out of the air and cycling back oxygen so that we can breathe. I also think about all those microorganisms in the soil, including fungi, that help to connect the roots of green growing plants with a lot of the essential nutrients which otherwise could not be absorbed. And so we are really interconnected with the whole creation. And as I look at the trees there in their various parts of the life cycle, young, old, and even dying, I'm also reminded that my life too, in the aging process, my life on this planet will end at some point. So those things, as I take my walk, really also reinforce a spirit of gratitude. I thank God and also God's creatures here for making my life possible and also less stressful. So I think that maybe as you take your next walk in the woods, I hope that some of these reflections will help you to see other layers of spiritual meaning as we reconnect ourselves with nature. So that's all for now. Thanks for listening.